Bakugan Legends was the 5th season of the reboot anime, and if you really want to hear my thoughts on it, go check out my reviews on each episode. The season was short and served as kind of like a final goodbye to this line of heroes before we move on to, well, Bakugan X Beyblade, I guess. But watching through Bakugan Legends again, I noticed something that they should have done a lot differently. And after watching a film while working on a prior news video, I realized that they should have incorporated elements of that movie into this season. The movie I'm talking about is Ip Man 3, the 3rd installment of the Ip Man series starring Donnie Yen, and watching that movie after watching Bakugan Legends, I realized there could have been things from this movie I would have taken and added to Bakugan Legends if I was writing this season. But what could this movie have taught me? They're both different. Ip Man 3 is about a Wing Chun Kung Fu master, and Bakugan is about kids telling monsters to fight. So how could I even come close to comparing the two? Well, let's break down both of these together. This is how I would have written Bakugan Legends. So in Bakugan Legends, they're just focusing on one particular problem. Hanoj and the Swarm are stealing energy from the planets, which will cause it to blow up or something. Oh, and also Earth and Vestroia being separated as well. So Dan and the Awesome Brothers have to stop Hanoj. The entire season is just focused on this central plot line, whether it's battling old enemies or training to fight. In Ip Man 3, Mike Tyson's character is trying to destroy a school. Ip Man and his students guard it, and after that, a rival Wing Chun master challenges Ip Man to a duel. However, the rival Wing Chun master Chen Tinchi and Mike Tyson may seem like the antagonists of the movie. They are actually just direct antagonists that Ip Man just plows through. In the movie, Ip Man has an antagonist that he cannot actually fight. His wife has cancer. Ip Man can solve problems by punching, kicking, and preaching morality, but cancer is not something he can actually fight. There is nothing he can do to stop it, so instead the movie builds upon Ip Man's character. Every moment he spends fighting the bad guys, it's less time he has with his dying wife. So the movie focuses on what Ip Man chooses to do instead. He skips a title match to spend more time with his wife. What he does becomes irrelevant, and what he chooses to do becomes the focal point of the movie and his character. Now, I'm not at all saying give one of the Awesome Brothers cancer or something. I'm saying in addition to having them fight this one-dimensional villain, you should give the Awesome Brothers an indirect enemy to fight that challenges their characters. What if in addition to having to fight Hanoj, they have to fight the one thing that kids could be afraid of? Growing up. I mean, in Bakugan Legends, the whole Earth and Vestroia being separated is kind of forgotten about. They don't at all build upon it. What if in Bakugan Legends, Dan has to deal with the struggle of growing up older? Winton might be preparing to become an engineer, Leah gets offered a job as a director of a big movie that's not funded by Everett, Athena, Shun, and Ajit want to go to college, and Lightning, I'm not even gonna go there. And Dan doesn't know what to do with his life. What if in addition to training for the battle judgment, we learn the Awesome Brothers each member is looking ahead but struggle to leave each other behind? Every minute they spend apart from each other training or trying to seal Hanoj again is less time they have with each other.
Things really changed while we were gone.
Yeah.
What they have to do becomes irrelevant. What they choose to do is what drives the plot forward. They cannot brawl against the cycle of life. What they're good at, they can't use to stop age. So yeah, how can we use that? Well, the filler episodes in Bakugan, I know we all have our criticisms of them as being senseless, irrelevant to the plot, and overall a waste of time. Kabo! Only a few episodes in Legends given its a short season were really just nonsensical fun to take off the seriousness of the main plot line. There is that lightning episode, the cowboy episode, the episode with Kabo! The Nova Technique training episode, and the Sophie committing a hijacking episode, I guess. Like I said in the previous chapter, the heroes choosing what to do becomes the crucial element of the story. In Ip Man 3, we see Ip Man doing various things with his wife, like taking a carriage ride, seeing a movie together, and even dancing together. All these illustrate what Ip Man chooses to do instead of the previous films and earlier in the movie where he would either be training or fighting. He decides to go on dates and accompany his wife to doctor's appointments. What if in Bakugan Legends the filler episodes see the Awesome Brawlers struggle to comprehend their positions? We keep the brawling and the silly villains in each filler episode, but we see the Awesome Brawlers while their minds look to the future, we see their expressions of enjoyment spending time with each other. What if we had Magnus, instead of being an asshole to Dan in this season, he is the Bruce Lee of this season. He is the physical manifestation of the lesson that Dan learns. Magnus would see Dan's struggle of accepting change and throughout the season help Dan accept growing up. Make Dan realize that he cannot be with his friends forever and everyone has to leave eventually. Magnus and Dan would meet up again in the Battle Judgment, and the fusion of Drago and Nilius is the embodiment of Dan learning and accepting change. What if in each episode where the past villains fight the Awesome Brawlers, not only is it a callback to previous seasons, what if they are physical obstacles that the Awesome Brawlers tackle as a metaphoric step-by-step process of accepting change? Fillers can be great, and can be used to build character if you are willing to do it. The ending to Ip Man 3 and Bakugan Legends was very different. In Ip Man 3, unfortunately, it wasn't that happy ending. Ip Man defeats Chantinchi, effectively defeating the villain, but he cannot win against the indirect antagonist. But after winning, he doesn't look satisfied. He never cared about defending his title as the best practitioner of Wing Chun. It's only fought because his wife wanted him to do it as a last kind act before she dies. Ip Man preaches about the importance of spending time with loved ones before he leaves.
其實最重要嘅，始終都係你身邊嘅人。
Sadly, his wife still passes away, but the movie illustrates Ip Man as a changed man. In Bakugan Legends, Earth and Vestroia have become separated for good. Bakugan can no longer survive on Earth, therefore Bakugan battling Earth is no more. The Awesome Brawlers go back to school, life moves on, but at the last minute, the Swarm Buzzy is able to transport Bakugan to Earth for small-time visits, giving us an okay ending. Bakugan technically can now vacation on Earth, but they no longer can stay.
Bakugan will no longer be able to draw power and energy from Vestroia, so we can no longer survive on Earth.
I had so much fun with you. Thanks, Drago.
No, Dan. I'm the one who should be thanking you.
Life went back to normal. And every once in a while, using Buzzy's warp ability, our Bakugan come to visit from Vestroia.
What a load of bullshit! While this ending is alright, it's not amazing. It's still sad, but it doesn't feel satisfying. This would mean nothing really changed. What if instead Earth and Vestroia separate, becoming the very last metaphoric step to the Awesome Brawlers' process of accepting change? They all leave Bakugan brawling behind, they all say their goodbyes and look towards the future. What if instead there's a time skip, everyone is successful in their fields, things have changed? What if Dan uses Buzzy's powers to go see Drago to close out the show? Dan would have a new perspective, he has grown up and accepted change, but keeping in touch with his roots to remind himself of where he came from. I know a lot of fans have wanted a time skip with the humans, and I think that this would have been a good way to do it by having it be the end. I think that the ending of Bakugan Legends was a good one, but I think that it could have been amazing to close out this chapter of Bakugan. After watching Ip Man 3, I think that these things could have been incorporated to help drive the amazing ending. Given our heroes are direct and indirect antagonists, make our heroes actually feel or go through something they usually cannot fight against, and give us an ending that teaches a lesson and grows our characters. I know that in the end, overall, the whole point of Bakugan Legends was just to be a fun season with no other kind of depth whatsoever, but I think that kids watching could really relate whether they are afraid to grow up or excited to grow up. Ip Man 3 relates to people who may have or will lose a loved one. Bakugan Legends could have related to children watching. Closing out the season and sending away the Gen 2 fans with the lesson that sometimes the biggest fight is the fight we cannot win and can only accept. I know some people will probably view Bakugan Legends as never intending to have deeper plots or meaning and was always intended to be nothing more than senseless fun for the children. And you know what, I think that's fair. They might look at this video and think, oh, this is silly. I write this video and show and project my thoughts on how I think it could have been better, but if you think that Bakugan Legends was good as is, then I respect that. I'm just showing you that sometimes when you watch something, just keep your eyes open and maybe good ideas can be incorporated into something better. But what do you think of all this, and how would you write Bakugan Legends? Let me know in the comments down below. Support BakuTalk by pressing the thumbs up and give us a subscribe for more awesome Bakugan content. I've been Haru Ren, and thank God for Rapid Fire. Bye!